So, arrival in Amsterdam was not quite as smooth as I was hoping. Everything worked fine. Getting from the airport to Haarlem, I was able to catch the bus. It was nice because as I left, first of all, I had a hard time finding the bus and actually leaving the airport because we were just kind of left in the middle of nowhere. But I finally went through customs and I made it outside. Once outside, I was looking for lane B, bus 300 for Haarlem. I found bus 300. I was like, yes, I'm good to go. I get on, and the lady told me, oh no, this isn't to Haarlem. It's going the other way. And so she, directed me in the right way. And of course, I went to the wrong area on the other side. She honked at me and pointed. So she was very nice, very helpful, and I got on the right bus. And so I took the bus to Haarlem, which I think is a really kind of a nice way to just relax and kind of start to take in the new scenery. It's very, very different, I feel like, than the United States. As you're going from the airport to Haarlem, you see a lot of industrial parks, and they're nothing like what we have at home. I feel like industrial parks are like what you would like to avoid when you are in a city. But these were beautiful modern structures. Everything looked green and very eco-friendly and just very new too. So it was really kind of beautiful, and we kept passing over these waterways, all these bridges. There were many different paths. It looks like it's very biker-friendly, very walker-friendly. And it's also kind of interesting because the buses actually have their own lane. And so on the right side, you've got the normal car lanes. Then you've got the biker lane. And then on the left side, far left side, really kind of partitioned away from the other lanes, you've got the bus lane. And so the traffic, there was no traffic. I feel like everyone here rides their bike. And so you didn't have to worry about that at all. And so it was a very nice, smooth ride. It was probably around 35-40 minutes, which was kind of nice, after trying to figure out what to do and after getting off the plane and just kind of taking in the scenery. As soon as the bus let me off, I was welcomed by rain and wind and cold. Definitely a big change from what I just left in the United States. There it was probably 85 and sunny and warm. And then here it's probably in the lower 60s and very windy and very rainy and very cold. So I popped out my umbrella, put on my sweater, and tried my best to make my way towards the hotel. So it's about a 5 to 10 minute walk, probably closer to 10 minutes. And as I'm walking, there is nobody around. And I'm thinking, okay, I know it's Sunday, but it was around 10 o'clock. I wouldn't think that everyone's still sleeping. There really was nobody. There was maybe a stray biker here and there. And so even if you did see someone, it was almost scary because you hadn't seen anyone else. So I just tried to make my way the best I could to my hotel. I got there, and it was so nice to get into a nice warm place that was dry. And I asked if I could check in early. But unfortunately, my room wasn't ready. So I dropped off my luggage and decided to go for a little walk. He said it'd probably be about an hour or so. And so I took my camera with me. I was a little hesitant because the weather was not nice. I was kind of worried about the camera. But then I'm like, well, if I don't take my camera, what if I miss something? I want to take a picture. So I took it, but I didn't use it because it was just pretty miserable out. I walked around the square. At the time there was a market, but it was just book stalls. So, nothing too big. Restaurants weren't really open. I thought about getting lunch. I wasn't really hungry. But I thought, well, it's lunchtime. Maybe I should eat. But nothing was really open. No one was really around. So I was like, oh, no, I'll just wait till dinner. And so I walked around. And I was like, okay, this is enough. I walked back in. I sat in the lobby for a little bit. And then I went up back to the reception desk, and my room was finally ready. And so getting up to my room was a big surprise because I found out that I was going to be on my own tonight, which was very nice. It's kind of nice to just be able to settle in on your own. But as I walked in, I had so much space. I've got this nice little seating area with 2 chairs and a little table. I've got 2 twin beds. I've got a nice closet. I've got a little hallway. I've got a beautiful bathroom with a great hot shower. So I was feeling like I was living pretty luxurious. But at that moment, I was realizing all I really needed was a little sleep because I actually didn't sleep on the plane at all. I closed my eyes for probably about 3 hours, but no sleep came. And so I knew that I just needed to get a little bit so I could push on forward for the night. So I fell asleep for a couple hours and it was great. I did not want to get up after that 2 hours, but I looked outside and the sun was beginning to shine. So I realized, well, I better get outside before it starts to rain again. I better enjoy this weather. And I was right, because I got up real quick, brushed my hair, get ready to go outside. I took my camera, took some pictures, just kind of wandered around the courtyard a little bit. And after wandering through a couple little neighborhoods, it began again. And it came hard, and there was a lot of wind. I don't know what they call mistrals in the Netherlands, but that's basically what it was. Probably about 40-mile-an-hour winds and just heavy rain. I mean, you could just see the sheets of rain just pouring down. And so I tried to maneuver my way from covered area to covered area, finally making my way back to the hotel. But once I actually made it back to the hotel, it was time to kind of, get ready. And at 4 o'clock, we had our meeting downstairs in the dining room. And so during our meeting, we got to introduce ourselves to everyone. We got to learn a little bit about each other. We shared our names, and we shared where we're from, and then also what we're most excited about on this trip. And for me, I shared that I love photography, and I'm very excited to capture all of these moments that we're going to have while we're in Europe. And so that was really kind of nice getting to know each other. I think it's going to take a little bit to get some names down, but that will come with time. After we went through names, we began to talk about what the tour is going to be like, what are some things we're going to see, and just kind of the rules and procedures, which it's kind of like the first day of school. You just have to go over, here's the rules, here's how it's going to work, and just kind of lay that down so that the rest of the time can go smoothly. After that, it was dinner time, and we actually went to an Indonesian restaurant. Now, I was pretty shocked by this because I was thinking, we just arrived in the Netherlands. Why can't we have a traditional dinner? Well, I was wrong, because this dinner was amazing. All right, so this type of dinner that we have, I think it's called a Rijstafel. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. I feel like Dutch is not a language that I can just look at and try to pronounce. But just to give you an idea, it's a family-style dinner where all of these different dishes are brought out, and then everyone shares. And I think that there were probably close to 20 different dishes. And so I think almost every one of us took a little bit of every single thing and just tried it. After eating the meal, I can understand why this was our first meal, because one, the family style works so well for a tour group because it really kind of forces you to share, to begin this bond, to begin conversation and talking and meeting new people. So I really think that's perfect, because otherwise you've got these little groups that begin to kind of form. That couldn't really happen here. We all just kind of started to talk and get to know each other. Another reason I understand why we did this was because the food was amazing, and I think some people might have been hesitant about it because our tour guide described it as there might be a little Indian flavor, there might be a little Thai flavor, but really it was just a lot of great flavor. That's all I can really say. There were spicy foods, there was rice, there was, skewers, which everyone will love if they love meat. It was just fantastic. It was just a great evening. I had a glass of wine. I believe it was a Syrah. And just a great first meal, great first impression of what this trip is going to be like. After dinner, we were told that we were going to be going on a tour with a local guide who has lived in Haarlem all of her life, and she's 24 years old. So we're waiting outside the restaurant, and all of a sudden comes out our waitress. And so our waitress actually ended up being our tour guide. Her name is Jody. It's spelled Jodi, I believe, but so it looked like Jody to us, but her name is actually Jody. And what a great little tour guide. I mean, first of all, it's hard to believe at 24. I know I'm not that much older, but still, it seems like that's pretty young. That she's so involved in her city, that she knows so much, and that she has this confidence to just go and teach others about her culture. I think that was pretty fantastic. Some of the things that we did while we were on this little tour, we stopped at some of the little shops, and we got to learn about how outside of the shop, if you look at the ground, there's brick on the floor. and they would put different designs to show what kind of shop it is. For example, for a barber, there's little scissors, kind of different colored bricks to show that. For an apothecary, there was, I think it was like a mortar or pestle, something like that. For a button shop, there was a button-looking round thing in the ground. And so we really kind of got to see how that works. Some other things we got to see were, I think, called gable stones. And if you look up, you can see where they actually have carved in the name of the people that live in the homes. While on this mini tour, I think probably the tour is maybe an hour long, we got to see some other stops as well. And I think the most interesting part was really kind of hearing a local's perspective. You know, she went to school there, and just hearing how the government runs differently, how they're kind of going through a crisis right now, not really having one in Parliament, and they have to revote, and just kind of understanding how this lifestyle is beginning to change. She told us that Haarlem has the happiest people in Europe, and coming to this town, you can kind of see why. I mean, everyone's riding their bikes. I mean, when you think about what you have to watch out for, it's not cars, it's definitely bikes, and you listen to that ping ping, and you're like, okay, I have to get out of the way. It's just a very, very different lifestyle, I think, than what a lot of Americans are used to. The government was very supportive of education, but that's beginning to change, of course, with budget issues like we're all having. And so it's just kind of interesting to see how this great lifestyle is kind of being taken away from them, or the changes are beginning to occur. And so some things we've never had, you know, I can imagine how hard it would be to have these things and then have them taken away. We talk about how America is so fortunate to have freedom, and I completely agree with that, but we also have to remember what other benefits there are in other countries. And that may be health care for all, that may be, you know, scholarships in education where you don't really have to pay anything. It's just different ways of looking at life, I guess. As we were on our walk, we got to see the weighing station, because of course this is a trade city also, which was a pretty building. We got to see some of the canals. Later on, I'm actually reporting this a day late because I didn't realize I wanted to do this at the point, but now I do. We were told that we were in the red light district of Haarlem, which I had absolutely no idea. She did talk about how there was one area that probably wasn't very safe at night before, but now there are people living above the stores, and that the people really watch out for each other. When you come here, you'll notice that there are huge windows, and she said that's to let in light, because whenever they get light, they want it. But also just to kind of keep an eye on each other. It's a very neighborhood kind of society where you just look out for each other, you watch for others' safety, which is, I think, very unique. I think in the United States, everyone just kind of minds their own business. They might be spying on others, but they're not really watching out for others, I would say. And so that was kind of interesting to see. But anyway, we're in this red light district, and I had no idea. And we were told later today that where the red geraniums were at, which were beautiful. Everyone's like, oh, look at the flowers. That's actually some of the areas where the prostitutes are at. So I guess we couldn't realize that. Some of the things we also talked about, we went past a coffee shop, and you should definitely smell it from the block when you were walking down it. And I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't really have an interest in doing this, but I kind of feel like they've got the right idea. Jody told us that 1 in 3 people from the Dutch basically have smoked marijuana. When I think about the United States, I feel like the statistic is much higher. I think what they've done is they've taken that stigma away. It's not something that's so surprising, so different that you can rebel against, and so it's not as big of a deal. I also think they have the right idea by being able to regulate, you know, the amount, what's in it, everything like that. So that was kind of interesting to hear about. And then that was pretty much it for the tour. We did also get to see the meat market area, which was kind of neat. I guess it was kind of the hangout, and they actually had to make a law where you couldn't hang out and buy it because that didn't allow the merchants to come in and out and for customers to come in. But overall, it was a great night. I'm very much looking forward to what we're going to see, and I just am already feeling so grateful to be able to be on this trip, and I feel like I'm going to get to learn so much and see so much during this time.